Hey guys, Shane here for Fugatech 3D Printing, and today we're going to take a look at All Professional 3D's Advanced PETG. Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm excited for this. I've got my first official roll of PETG or PETG, depending on how you like to say it. This is All Professional 3D's Advanced PETG Filament. And I've only ever sampled this filament with the MakerBox, and I've been really wanting to have somebody send me some, and these guys responded. So I've sent out a bunch of emails asking companies to try and pitch in if they would, and these are the first guys to do it. Super excited about it. Let's check it out, see how it is. Okay, so I got this spool in, and it came with a PLA and a cleaning filament. This one, I mean, as you can see, I've been printing with it. This one came in just a Ziploc bag with a desiccant pack in it. I'm guessing that they had this on the shelf on stock, maybe a bag broken open, and they're like, well, hey, we'll just send it to somebody who wants to do a review, something like that, which is perfectly okay by me. It was sealed, so it was good for that. The spool is super duper plain. It's very light spool. I mean, it has a bit of bend to it, which I didn't notice until I was holding it like this, and you could see it flexed in my hand, and I wasn't ready for that. But I mean, it's solid spool. So the label on the side here says Advanced PETG 1.75 millimeter, All Professional 3D, premium grade filament, allprofessional3d.com, made in the USA. That is the best kind of filament because it's American. So as I said, this was a totally new experience for me. I only had the one instance of printing with a PETG Plus that I got in last month's MakerBox, which I'll post up here, and this is going to take me some time to get dialed in, and it really did. So let's take a look at some time lapses and let's talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about this. So PETG is a totally new filament for me. I've only printed the one time with it, and it was a very small object, and now I'm going to try and print some really big stuff with it if I can. So PETG runs much hotter than PLA, so the recommended settings that I got from Andreas, who works for All Professional 3D, he's been in email contact with me, is 235 on the nozzle, 70 on the bed, and to keep it slow, between 50 and 60 millimeters a second. That was interesting to me because I thought it was going to behave a little more like PLA, meaning I could print it really, really fast. Like I could print PLA pretty much 100 millimeters a second on my FT5, which is great. Things go by quickly, but this really got to slow it down, and you really have to make it hot. And it was just, you know, a new experience. So let's take a look at some prints and see how we went. So the very first one was the 200% of my Maker coin, and I'm going to hold it up here so you can actually see it, because on my shirt it's kind of hard to see. So this came out, I mean, actually remarkably. It took me 2 tries on this one to get it to work. I had a little issue with adhesion to the bed, but that's okay. I solved that. I had to slow it down because this is before I really knew I had to print slower. So it came out, the walls, fantastic. It is an extremely strong filament. Like I can flex PLA a little bit when I squeeze it, but this doesn't flex it. Oh, it's really strong. Hardly any stringing. I didn't clean this up at all. We'll zoom in here in a second. I mean, on the bottom, I'll show you, it did really well with bridging over some of the issues. You saw PLA in the previous videos, it had stringing even over the supports that were printed down, and this came out beautifully. It actually did warp a small amount, but that really, for this, doesn't matter. It more adds to the, you know, the shape of the object of what I'm going for, which is the coin. So let's zoom in here and we'll take a look. Okay, so I really hope you're gonna be able to see this. So as you can see here, there's a few little zits in there, but nothing really to write home about. On the back, if we turned it up, you can see there's a little bit of the lifting, and it's not, it almost has the illusion, but this piece right here, this corner, you can really tell that it lifted there, and you can see how it curves down. Also, I was a little too close on this one, so right here it almost looks like it's white. It looks like you can almost peel that layer off because it's so thin. And again, that was just my mistake of making this a little bit too close. But let's look at the bridging here. So it's not really bridging, it's just printing above support. So it's all these corners here, and they came out remarkable. Sorry, it's really hard to see at the black, but I mean, if you look down here, it came out really, really nice. I mean, there's hardly any stringing in there whatsoever. Support was a little tough to pull off, I'll say. It stuck super well because this filament is so tough. I mean, I'm not into chemistry and what it's made of. I care more how it prints and can I use it. But this, you know, this is a really good model. This came out fantastic. So next model I printed was the Bob-omb. So this is the easy to print Bob-omb, and I'll put all of the link files, all the thing files down in the video description. So I had some issues with this, but it seemed like my nozzle was actually leaking the PETG out of the sides from up top. And I have the E3D V6 with a volcano nozzle on it. I wrote online to the Facebook group and to some of the forums out there, and people said that yes, PETG actually will, which I don't know why, and no one could explain why it leaks and PLA doesn't. I'm guessing it's just I don't know, because it's so hot, it flows better, I don't know, but it leaked. So it did cause some issues, and the one issue is you can see the line through it here. It's a little hard. We'll zoom in here in a second. And it actually caused some issues where there was an actual blob on the side of the nozzle, and it pulled some of this away. Again, I was asleep when all this happened, but this was a 0.1, which going back, I probably should point this 0.2, but 0.15, I'm sorry, this was 0.15. Should have pointed at 0.2 or 0.25 because this took forever, but it's super smooth. Aside from this one issue, the top layer is almost like a matte finish. So I'm thinking I might have done something wrong there, and it was a little too close, but it's an interesting finish. The gear on the back is really nice. It's really solid on there. This piece, the under extruded part, I could snap this off. I'm not going to. But the tops of the feet came out well. The feet are nice and strong. These will break, but they are very, very strong. And so is the little crack there. This does have flex to it, the fuse to it. But overall, this came out well. So let's zoom in here. I'll show you the issue I had here. Now you can see the issue there. So here, right here, you can see there's, and you see the line right across. I probably could grab this whole top and pop it off, but we're not going to do that. But I mean, he came out really nice, you know. The nice layers, feet are nice, the tops of the feet are nice. It was a great print, but issue on my part. You know, and again, I'm learning the filament. It did pretty well. You can see the back here. This is where all the layers started here. You see right there in the glare there. They all started in the same place in the back, pretty much. This is better than what it was. I'm actually now printing the inside perimeter first and then the outside perimeter. So the larger blob, when it starts the new layer, is inside the model and not on the outside. So this is better. You can be improved, but we're getting there. But overall, this is a really fun model. I want to make this bigger, but I think I'll try it in PLA because I don't want to waste this rest of this PETG on it. I want to practice more with it, but this was really nice. Now I have a little Robert Rex. This is a 100% model, so it's pretty small compared to my hand here. He came out okay. I think for this one, for some reason, my BL touch on the FT5 was, for some reason, got a little too close. So the top layer had a little bit of issues. The bottom layer is pretty good, super duper shiny. His details were great. I did have to print this with a brim all the way around it and touching it. So I did 10 loops around in order to make him stick, because he did raise up the first 2 times I tried to print him for some reason. I'm not sure why, but this one was printed at the bed with 70C. 70 worked fine for the other 2, but it didn't work for this model. So I boosted up to 90 with the brims, no problem. This thing was actually hard to get off. Even after the bed cooled down, it was still really, really hard to get off. But his details are all there. Like I said, this top layer is a little rough, kind of little issues here. I did still have a little bit of the leakage was fixed a little bit more for this, but it still had a little bit of a leak. So again, we're still playing with it, but you know, this filament prints pretty good for me being such a noob at it. I really am enjoying it. And also with the brim, you can see he's nice and flat all the way down, which means I didn't have any lifting with this, which is, I've seen a lot with the Robert Rex. The tail lifts a lot when people print it, but with add a little bit of brim and there's no lift at all. So he's a good guy. So this next model has a little bit of a story behind it, so bear with me on this. My sister buys this cookie called a Love-a-sarus for her son every Valentine's Day. And there's this one shop outside of Pittsburgh that makes it. Well, the guy no longer makes it. So because of that, the last time she bought it, he said he was no longer going to make them. So she kept a cookie, and we traced it out on just an 8x11 sheet of paper. I took that sheet, imported it into a little tool that I found online for like making cookie cutters. I'll put the link down below. And it was able, by selecting the inside, because I couldn't get to work at first, by selecting the inside of the model, I was able to get the outline. And that gave me this. This is a big cookie. Like this is not a small cookie. This is not for the faint of heart or the ones that don't like sweets. I did scale this up 125% because this is the 100% for some reason just came out a little small, a little smaller than I kind of was expecting it, and it didn't quite match up on the sheet. 125 was pretty close. So this is a very big cookie. I wanted to also make it bigger so that when it would shrink a little bit, it wouldn't be as bad. But there are a little few issues with this model. I printed this with a brim. So the outside came out great, real nice and smooth. But on the inside, this corner right here, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see right here, it's pointing up. It's going this way. And there's no brim on the inside of the model, so which is kind of interesting. You'd think it would put one inside as well, but it only does on the outside of the model. But even though it's obviously hollow, you know, not a huge deal. Also, when it created the layers down here, I'll zoom into this because this is kind of important. It did a really crappy job for some reason. This is the best model I've had. The layers are fantastic. This was a 0.2 layer height. And I mean, it is, you know, super duper smooth. But the other issue is I did 2 perimeters, and the walls here, I mean, they actually come apart because it didn't put anything in between. And this is the slicer's fault. This is not the filament at all. For some reason, the slicer made 2 walls, and on the top layer, it decided not to join the inside and outside together. Why, I don't know. So obviously I will not be using this for anything. I'm printing these cookie cutters out of PLA so they can kind of be used, and if they seem a little gunky, pitch it. I'll print another one. It cost me like not even $1 to print one of these. But yeah, I'm very unhappy with the way the slicer did. I'm gonna try it again, maybe in Cura, and see how Cura does, but I normally always use Simplify 3D. But anyways, the filament, this came out great. I did have the lifting here. This was at 90C, 50 millimeters a second, 235 on the nozzle. The 90C is the bed, obviously. Other than that, it came out, I mean, the walls print great. The bottom layer was great. The brim was good. Aside from this lifting, and like I said, let's take a look at this. But aside from the lifting and this little nubbets here, is fantastic print. So here's what I was talking about. So this here is the bottom. This is the bottom of the print, but you can see where all of the layers came together right there. That's where they all started. And it just did not turn out the way I wanted it to. And then here's that curled up part. So here you can see where it curls. So you see that's curled right there. A little better here, there you go. So you can see how it's curled in there. Only part to do it, this does not matter whatsoever for this print because it's a cookie cutter. But it's still just something to note. All right, so this last model, I got a little bit brave. I printed it with no brim, no supports, just the PETG on a 80-degree bed at 235 to see how it would do. This is a little stand for your phone. So it, you know, it gets glued together like so, and your phone just sits right on there. This front part is perfect, perfectly level, you know, super flat. Everything just came out perfect. I printed these both, they were side by side like this, okay? This back one, not so much. We had a little bit of lifting. And this is a small model. I mean, this probably would have lifted with PLA as well. You know, again, I wanted to be a little bit brave. And I also seems that I was a little too close because we have the kind of the white layer on the bottom. It looks white, it's just, it's so thin, it almost, it's like a piece of, you know, of plastic that you could peel off the bottom. But you really can't unless you're like using like a chisel. So, but it did well. I mean, it's all the angles are super sharp. The steps on the rungs of the ladder are, I mean, perfect. Even these little nibbits that are on the side, you know, they're kind of hard to see, but they came out great. Same thing, I mean, with this one here, the shelf, I mean, it's strong. The whole part, it's bendable, but it's really strong, you know. So I'm very impressed with PETG, especially this one from All Professional 3D. You kind of can't go wrong with it. Even for someone like me who's never printed it before, I can get good prints out of it. I need a little bit more practice, but this actually worked out really well. I really like it. I'm gonna use the rest of this roll to practice, and the next roll of PETG I get, I'll be even better at it. So, you know, All Professional 3D, thank you guys. You know, you went out on a limb for me. You let me learn. You helped me through the process, and I'm super appreciative of it. So what I think about the filament, it's great. It's super hard. I'm sure this would work great if you guys need to print something functional. I'm probably gonna actually print some parts out for the G-Tech in this just to try out how it would. I'm gonna be trying to put on a E3D V6 or a knockoff on the G-Tech, and I think this stuff will be great for, you know, holding those parts and holding them firmly, much better than PLA would. Prints come out almost perfect. I had no real stringing or anything on any of these prints aside from my own mishaps in learning how to print PETG. Otherwise, it came out great. All the walls are fantastic. It's structurally sound filament. You know, these are only printed with, you know, 10 or 5% infill. You know, you can't, I mean, this was, I think 20%, which is over, so it's a little bit of a heavy filament, but it's very strong. I enjoyed it. Go out and get some. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you want to help me out, down below, there's going to be links to Amazon, and you can update your bookmarks with my affiliate link and help out the channel. I also have Patreon, so if you feel like you want to and you like my channel, throw me $1 or $2. I really appreciate it. And as always, happy printing.